Thank you very much for having me. And thank you, Harry, as well. We've been at this for a long time. Every now and then I get to give an excuse for not showing up. But I thank God that He's made it possible for me to be on this one this time. And I hope that by sharing my experiences and also just building up on what the first speaker has done, we will learn. I hope to learn from this experience. And I hope that every one of us who is also on this call gets to pick one or two new experiences, lessons to help in our journey of leadership. The stage has been set. For anyone who has ever learned economics, there is something that every economics student will hear, and that is all things being equal. I am very certain that everyone who has done a bit of economics has heard that, all things being equal. When people are putting programs, theories, and other things together, they are very quick to set the framework within which their theories are going to work. This is to eliminate a lot of the what ifs. So once I put it in a nice framework and I say all things being equal, it means that anything outside the all things being equal doesn't really impact the outcome of the theory or the thesis that I'm putting forward. We have a lot of definitions for what leadership is, but for my topic, leading against all odds, I would like to focus on the leadership definition that stresses on influence to get performance. So leadership in this context is all the decisions and actions that ensures that we are able to influence our environment, influence the people around us, influence the people who work with us and for us so that we can get the necessary outcomes that we want. For people who work in the finance sector or people who work in sales, you will find that the work of a leader is normally very well cut out in terms of financial and non-financial performance criteria. So you know from day one how much money you are supposed to make, or how much calls you have to make, or how much deposits you have to bring in and all that. Going back to our definition of influencing to get the needed outcome, our topic says that leading against all odds. It means that in this setting, all things are not equal. So that is the context in which leading against all odds will operate. You're working or you're leading in a context where all things are not equal. An example, I like to follow football and sports a lot. So I like to talk about football, for instance. There are instances where a coach is given to a team, or a team gets a new coach. And before you know it, strikers are not scoring, defenders are conceding goals. And this coach has to work in this environment. And in this environment, all things are not equal. All things are not equal because defenders are not defending and strikers are not striking. For a young leader, you can be promoted from a team. And for all you know is that all the people that worked with you whilst you were with them at the same level, all of a sudden, because they are not happy about your elevation, you find that when you say, let's go to the left, they go to the right. It is not because all the characteristics of the leader that you have learned and you think you possess have all of a sudden left you. But it's because you have found yourself in an environment where all things are not equal anymore. I give an example of me working in an institution where there was a position available, which was about 3 levels above me. Definitely, I knew that it was high for me, but I also knew that I had what it takes to do the job. So I dared myself, I pushed myself, and I said, let me apply for this job and see. In fact, I told my friends, I'm just testing the system to see if the system works. I went through the process and I got the job. But as soon as I got the job, all things were not equal anymore. Because quickly, I had moved from my peers and moved beyond my boss to my boss's level. And so all things were not equal. And I had to lead a team that was either not willing or thought they could have done it too. If I'd known, I would have also applied. Guess what? You become a leader who is having to operate in an environment where all things are not equal. It is very easy for us in this era or around this dispensation to talk about the pandemic. And so if you don't do well, you can say it's COVID-19. If you're late for work, it's COVID-19. So when the odds are global, when the odds are systemic, and when the odds affect every one of us, it is very easy as a leader to fail and blame it on the bigger odds. But when the odds are unique to you, when the odds are specific to your organization, when the odds are specific to your team, it becomes very difficult to find reasons why you cannot perform and you cannot lead. So I want us to start looking at things that can help you work within the odds and still come out as a successful leader who is influential. Number one, I'd like to talk about is character, the issue of character. And I'm very happy that I came right after the first speaker because she highlights all the things that you are required for you to lead as a person, leading yourself. So that is the character piece. You must be courageous in the face of odds. You must be resilient in the face of odds. You must be tough in the face of odds. And you must be a positive person to be able to carry yourself and carry the other people who depend on you. I call it being still. Character makes you still in the face of odds. When the odds are stacked up against you, you need to be still. Because when you are not still, you become spontaneous, you take rushful decisions, you don't think well, you may even compound the odds that are against you because you are not still. It's very difficult though to be still. People will tell you it's easier said than done. If you've ever watched a movie or had the experience of getting drowned, you will see that when they say be still in the face of the odds, it's not an easy thing. But good swimmers will tell you that when you are drowning or when you are threatened by water, the best thing to do is not to try to fight the water, but be still. Learn to float. At times in the odds, you don't have to do anything, just be. Most times leaders feel that they always have to be doing something, saying something to show that they are in charge or to show that they are leading. But leading also means being still in the face of adversities. When there is turbulence and you are restless, you compound the situation. So listening more, being still, and diving deep into you. Diving deep and listening into you means that there should be something in there for you to take. So especially for young and up and coming leaders, you need to fill you with a lot of things so that when the adversities come and you are still, you can dive deep. So when there's nothing in and you dive in, there's a vacuum. So for all of us here to prepare for what we don't know, adversities will come, challenges will come, the odds will come, because that's really what leadership is about. If it was all rosy, nice and cozy, everyone could be a good leader. So yes, whilst we don't pray for the odds, whilst we don't wish for the odds to come, we must prepare for them. And how you prepare for them is to build character, to fill you with so much that when the odds come, you can dig deep and find something. Reading, praying for us Christians, meditating, mindfulness is a way of filling you and making you ready for the odd times. Experience is also another. I am a mother of two, and after my first experience with my first child and the second, definitely how I performed as a mother, how I responded to motherhood was very different from my first child to my second child. And for those of you who have children or go to the hospital to see parents who have babies, if you see a mother of one, a first-time mother, you can see. Because when the baby throws up, the mother is all over my baby is throwing up, I don't know what's happening to my baby, and all that. If you see a mother who has had 1, 2, or 3 children, and the babies are throwing up, you see they have composure because they have experienced it before. I'm sure a young listener will say, but I'm young. I don't have the experience. Somebody has to give me the opportunity to lead before I get the experience. You don't necessarily have to go through my experience to learn from my experience. You don't necessarily have to go through my pain to learn the lessons of my pain. So you must be observant. You must open up and learn from the experiences of others. Read about people. I read about Donald Trump decades before he became president. So when people were saying, oh, is this Donald Trump? And I had read so much about him already. So I wasn't surprised about certain things, and I laughed at certain things I saw because I had seen him. I wasn't shocked. I also appreciated certain things that he did or he does because I had read about him. Growing up, I heard about Margaret Thatcher. Every strong woman was called Margaret Thatcher. And I was wondering, who is this Margaret Thatcher? Why do they like to associate every strong woman with Margaret Thatcher? So quickly, I said, let me get a book of this woman and read about her. So reading helps you to build the experience that you need for the odds. So ladies and gentlemen, all I'm saying is that you need experience, but it doesn't have to be yours to be a learning point for you. In fact, experiences of others helps us shorten our learning curves. So something that Mr. A used 5, 10 years to do, I should do it within 2 years because I know that it happened. And when it happened, these were the actions, these were the consequences. So I know what to do and what not to do. I give another practical example. I took a role in my previous bank. And then the first job I had to do was to cut down a team of 23 to 10. Restructure a team. Young leader, some of them had banking experiences more than I had. Some of them had been in the organization longer than I had been. I became their boss, and the next thing I had to do was, this team is too big, this team is not productive enough, we want you to slash it. Oh God. I started questioning myself, was it right to have taken this job? Should I have just let it slide? What did I do? I quickly started talking to people, mentors, coaches, and I'm happy the first speaker spoke about it. You always in your life need people who have done it before and seen it before. So I called up people I knew had done it before, and I said, how do I do this? I am drowning because I was scared. I was scared of what the organization, the people in the teams will say, and you were friends, and now you became our boss. All of a sudden, you're firing us and all that. My back was against the rope. That's leading against all odds. But with the coaching and the guidance of others, I was able to go through it. I sought help. So that's another thing you need to do when your back is against the wall. Seek for help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. It doesn't make you a bad leader, because there have been leaders ahead of you and there will be leaders after you. So seek for help. I sought for help and we managed to go through. Painful as it was, there were some good lessons, and 5 years after the restructure, we got the results we wanted. The team became a high-performing team. Even some of the people who suffered from the restructure looked back and said it was good. Fast forward, 2 months ago, I am in an organization where there is a restructure now in my new organization, and I saw how things were being done. And based on the experience that I had, I reached out to the human capital person. I said, can I step in? I want to have some conversation with the people who will be affected by this restructure. How was I able to step in and make a rather painful situation less painful? I had to dig into the experiences that I had accumulated doing the same thing previously, and that helped me. Again, sports. I talk about sports. Any competitive sport is a good way of teaching leaders how to lead against the odds. If you're an Arsenal supporter, you will identify with me. Competitive sports is another way of learning how to lead against all odds. You find teams that are down in a match. 3 goes down, 5 goes down. Some of these teams are able to rise to the occasion and take their goals one after the other. 5-1, 5-2, 5-3. Some teams are able to rise to the occasion to even come and win against all odds. So competitive sports is another way of teaching us how to rise to the occasion. Just watch the players when they go down. They don't have time. When they score a goal, they go to the opponent's post to bring the ball, bring it to the center line themselves. It teaches us that you have to throw in everything you have when the odds are against you. That's not the time to apportion blames. I would like to talk again also about positivity and positive energy. Positivity and positive energy. Positive and negative energies are very infectious, and it speaks to the people you surround yourselves with. What I do most when the odds are against me is that I quickly try to focus on the end game. So when the odds are against me, I start thinking about, if we come out of this, can you imagine how it will be? If we came out of this, if we won this thing, can you imagine? I start planning the party in my head. I start planning the celebration in my head. What this does is that it gives you some positive energy to be able to push on. And as I said, positive energy is very infectious. So as the leader, once you are exuding those positive energies, very quickly you find that the people around you, although you cannot point to anything that has changed in the circumstances, but you find yourself that there is some energy and there's some expectation of a brighter and a happier ending. It gives you the energy to be able to minimize the darkness around you, and you're able to go through the darkness without being drowned. Music is a way of getting positive energy. For people who like music, at times I just play my music in my car, windows rolled up, blasted to the full volume. And it has a way of giving me that energy that by the time I get into the office, even though everybody is expecting that, we are down, the numbers are down, things are not going well, you walk in as the leader and people actually ask you, where do you find your strength? So positive energy is also another way of working through the odds. If you're a Christian, the Bible says that speaking in tongues is a way of edifying you. So if that is what you believe in, at times you don't even know what you're saying, but you just pray Pray anything that comes to you. For those who know how to do meditation, just meditate, talking to people, laughing at yourself. This is a tool I use very often. My sisters and my mother, they hate me for doing that because they will tell you that, when we have challenges, you are always laughing. Learn to laugh at yourself. It helps you to not to crush yourself. You laugh at yourself, you laugh at what you have not been able to do, and you're able to go through it. So laugh at yourself. You are human. You are not God. You are not superhuman. So when you're down, Laugh at yourself. Laugh at your mistakes. And then you'll find strength to go on. And so that's another way I think. Probably it is good to laugh at yourself. When there's nothing to do and you've made a mistake, just sit down and say, oh, Sylvia, how could you do this? You laugh at yourself and quickly you put yourself together and you run. I talk about also being authentic. You're a human being. Cry if you have to. It's okay. Leaders, you break down if you have to. At times, just letting out that negative energy that is bottled in just helps you gather the momentum to go again. Communicating is another. When you're leading a team and the odds are against you, you have to communicate in an unambiguous manner. Be clear. We are not doing this, and you stand by it. We aren't doing this as a team. So when the odds are against you, clear, decisive communication. That is not the time when your team, you want to be second guessed. What does she say we should do? Also, how are we going, left or right? Clear, concise, decisive communication. And when you do, you stand by it. You communicate, you decide, and you stand by it. And then the people piece. Stay connected. In an environment where there is chaos, what you do is to keep the team together. Stay connected. Check in on people. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How is it going? We're going to pull through this. Just keep connected. What that does is that it builds trust. So people know that we are in this together. It's not the boss talking down on us, saying the numbers are low, go and do some more. But it makes the team feel that we are in this with our team together. We are in this with our boss together. And it speaks to empathy as well. We speak about the COVID. I've had institutions where people were even prevented from changing the way they work, working from home, because the bosses are not comfortable. But an empathetic boss will know that people are restless, people are afraid, people are unsure. So when the odds are against you, you want to be extra reasonable, extra understanding, extra accommodative of people. That's the only way people feel that we will go through this together. That's the only way you don't have your team members start looking for the quickest way, the next exit. Because as a leader, if you don't get the team together, very soon people would want to jump off the ship. People will want to jump out of the team because it's chaotic. They don't see the leader understands them. The leader is very detached from the conversation. And even for the led, you must also show empathy to leadership. You must show that you know that times are difficult. You must show that you understand that the odds are against you. It is not when the market is down that you go to your boss and say, that salary increment that we talked about, how do we, this is the time to get my raise. What do you think? It's time for promotion. Quickly, your boss thinks you are not with me in this. I see, I guess you were laughing, but it happens all the time.
You and my boss had a meeting before you came.
All the time. And people come to you and they say, oh, it's time for my raise. You know, I know the COVID and all, but it's time for my raise. the lead has to show empathy as well. The lead has to show that they understand the circumstances, and the lead have to show that they are part of it. My last will be that for the leader who is leading against the odds, you have to look within. It's always very easy to throw your hands up and look for external help. But most of the time, the solution to get us out of the odds rests with the people we have, because they've been on the journey with us. There are people in our teams who talk very little, but trust me, they are the ones who have the solutions. They don't talk much, but as a leader, you need to know that there's a place for everyone in the team. So look within for solution. Create the environment where somebody will raise their hands and say, "Sir, oh, madam, I think if we did it that way, it could be better." And you must be humble enough as a leader to say that, yes, let's try that. So looking within, listening to that small voice, listening to that national service person who just came and doesn't know much. You never know. They may not have been around for too long, but they have ideas that could help you out of the situations in which you find yourself. So looking within, for me, is another way for a leader and a team to swim the tides and get on shore. I would like to wrap up by saying that there are benefits to leading during odd times. It makes you stronger. People say that what doesn't kill you make you stronger. I sit here and I am very certain that if you gave me a team of 100 to cut down to 50, it will be difficult, but it won't be as difficult for me as for somebody who hasn't done a restructure before, who hasn't looked somebody in the face to say, "I'm sorry, but we cannot continue working with you anymore." That conversation is tough. And after you have gone through it once or twice, you can do it the third time, the 50th time, and the 100th time. It makes you a better leader as well. So whilst we don't wish for the odd times help us to build character and make us better leaders. It also helps us to evaluate the people around us. You know, when you're down and you reach out to your friends and they say, "Oh, can I call you later? Oh, you go ahead with how you're doing it. I'll see what I can do." It quickly tells you that you are either in the right circles or in the wrong circles. Because when the odds are against you, very few people want to identify with you. So don't miss the opportunity of evaluating your relationship as you go through the odds, because it tells you whether you are in good company or you are in bad company. And give opportunity for yourself to do things differently. Do things differently. That's the benefit of leading against all odds. When all things are equal, you have to work within the framework. But when all things are not equal, you have the license to try new things, do new things, do it differently. So when the odds are against you, take advantage of it and try new things. Nobody will tell you this is how it's done in this organization. Guess what? The odds are against us. So we have a license to do it differently. So take advantage of the odds and do things differently. And I will say that never come out of the odds without learning anything. Never come out of the odds without learning anything. Let at the end of COVID, sit down and write down, what did I learn from this? If you can't put a finger on what you learned, then you have done yourself and your team a bad disservice. It means that if the odds came again, you couldn't do things any differently. So make sure that you pick a few learnings from the odds because you need it for the future. And I read a quotation that says that when you're at rock bottom, it is the best place to spring up. Rock bottom is where there is solid ground. Rock bottom is where it's tough and the grounds are hard. So what you do is that you look for some 2 strong stones at the bottom of the bottom. Stand on those 2 strong stones and spring up. Spring up in grand style. Spring up as a different leader. Spring up as someone who has acquired knowledge to help you and to help the other people who look up to you. So I like to end here, just recapping that experiences are good. Learn from your experiences and that of others. Look within. Build character because you will need it for tomorrow. Build trust. Get help. You are not God. You are not a superhero. Get help. It doesn't make you a weak leader in crisis. Be positive because it has the potential to infect the whole. You say you have to cover your mouth because there is COVID. Trust me, when there is positive energy, nothing can hold it back. It's so infectious that before you know, everything has caught that positive vibe and you're swimming through the odds. You're coming out a bigger leader, a strong team, a performing team. You look back at it and you say that, you know what, it was good. So I like to end here. Thank you. And I hope that we can have some interactive session. Thank you very much.